Today, we're counting down the top 5 neighborhoods in the greater Seattle area for cideries, cider bars, and taprooms, where apples get the spotlight. One neighborhood, near the top, changed how we thought about Seattle's cider map. So stay with us. Seattle has a deep craft beverage scene, but cider has its own geography here. For this countdown, we're focusing on neighborhoods with real cider destinations, dedicated taprooms, major cider brands, unusual small batch makers, and places that have become part of the city's cider conversation through Google Places, Yelp, Eater, and local Reddit chatter. The greater Seattle area has plenty of good drinking districts, but when cider is the main event, a few neighborhoods rise above the rest. Number 5. Beacon Hill. Beacon Hill starts us off with one of the most distinctive cider stops in the city, Slightly Furry, a cidery and taproom pouring single-varietal and small-batch experimental ciders right on Beacon Hill. The neighborhood sits in southeastern Seattle, with Interstate 5 to the west, and Rainier Avenue South, Chesty Boulevard South, and Martin Luther King Jr. Way South, shaping much of its eastern edge. What makes Beacon Hill stand out is not quantity, but originality. Slightly Furry brings a very specific point of view to the cider scene, and that gives Beacon Hill a place in the conversation, even without the dense taproom clusters found elsewhere. Number 4. Capitol Hill. Capitol Hill comes in with one of Seattle's foundational cider addresses, Capitol Cider, at 818 East Pike Street. It has been known as Seattle's first cider bar and one of the earliest in the country, with more than 20 ciders on tap, plus a full food menu. Location matters here too. Capitol Hill sits immediately east of downtown Seattle and north of First Hill, putting its cider scene in the middle of one of the city's busiest restaurant and nightlife corridors. For cider fans, Capitol Hill works because cider is not tucked away as an afterthought. At Capitol Cider, it is the headline. Number 3. Ballard. Ballard earns the number 3 spot because it turns cider into part of a broader craft beverage district. In the brewery-heavy pocket around Northwest 49th Street, Yonder Cider and Bale Breaker share a collaborative taproom at 826 Northwest 49th Street, with 16 cider taps and a large patio. Ballard also has a Locust Cider taproom, giving the neighborhood more than one cider-focused stop within the same general orbit. As a former independent city in northwestern Seattle, Ballard already has a strong neighborhood identity, and its mix of warehouse-style taprooms, patios, and beverage destinations makes it one of Seattle's most efficient cider outings. Number 2. Sodo. Sodo lands at number 2 because it is home to Cider Company at 4660 Ohio Avenue South, one of the most recognizable names connected to Seattle cider. The taproom highlights Washington apples, and the brand itself has become strongly associated with the city's modern cider identity. Sodo is part of Seattle's industrial district, bounded to the north by South King Street near Pioneer Square, and stretching south towards South Spokane Street. So, the setting feels different from a nightlife strip or residential village. That industrial character gives Cider Company room to operate at a scale that feels like a flagship, not just a neighborhood bar. And number 1. Fremont. Fremont takes the top spot because Schilling Cider House at 708 North 34th Street is one of the strongest cider destinations anywhere in Seattle. It is Seattle's only 100% craft cider tap house, with 32 ciders on tap and more than 300 by the bottle, giving it what is described as the nation's largest craft cider selection. Fremont itself sits in northern Seattle and was once a separate city before being annexed into Seattle in 1891, which helps explain why it still feels like its own little world. For cider, though, the case is simple. Schilling makes Fremont a true pilgrimage stop, not just a neighborhood with a good cider option. So, the final countdown is Beacon Hill at number 5, Capitol Hill at number 4, Ballard at number 3, Sodo at number 2, and Fremont at number 1. What surprised us most was how different each cider neighborhood felt. Beacon Hill brings experimentation, Capitol Hill brings history, Ballard brings density, Sodo brings a flagship brand, and Fremont brings sheer cider depth. If you are mapping Seattle by apples instead of hops, these are the places that define the route. What did we miss? Which neighborhood, cidery, taproom, or specific cider spot would have made your top 5? And which one would you rank higher? If you enjoyed this Seattle neighborhood deep dive, give the video a like and subscribe for more countdowns around the city. And tell us what to cover next: coffee districts, late-night food neighborhoods, waterfront areas, breweries, bookstores, or a deep dive into one Seattle neighborhood from block to block.